Hey, Tommy. I just want to apologize to the patrons. We're a little bit late, and that's because I was running late because I went to the Apple store and bought the new Ultra.
Oh, the new watch?
Yeah, we could do an unboxing right here if you're watching this, except there was a problem.
What happened?
So I always skip generations, so I had the Ultra 1.
Uh-huh.
But this time I wanted to go with the Ultra 3, but I wanted to do it in the black.
Okay.
There's like a natural titanium color, and then there's a black.
Very cool.
So I said, I want the black, I want the blue.
You want to hold it up?
I want the blue band if you're watching this on Patreon or if you're watching it on YouTube. And I want the black watch, which is right here. Well, I get to open it. This is very satisfying. And I got to the railroad tracks, and there was a train.
Okay.
So I opened up this watch, and they had given me the wrong one. They had given me the natural one, which is the one I had.
Okay.
And then I'm like, oh, shoot, I'm going to be late. But I bet you I can just go to the Apple store and say, hey, you gave me the wrong one by accident. Can you swap it out? Doesn't work that way.
Yeah, rookie mistake there, Dad.
It does not work that way because obviously it's not so simple to return an Apple Watch because that's what you're doing. And then a whole bunch of kerfuffle came out, and then they had to they had to establish a gift card basically. So they had to give me a gift card, so they had to create that. Then using the gift card, they were able to exchange the watch. And this is after I'd owned the watch for like 22 minutes. And I have to say, Tommy, I've got a 15, and I'm kind of jonesing for the new 17. But the thing, even with the watch, that keeps me from doing that is not the buying it, it's the setting it up. And it's specifically the fact that like this watch has a phone number, and the way that it works is when you get the new watch, you basically terminate the old watch contract. With me, it's with Verizon. And then you're supposed to go and set up this watch and get a new watch contract so that you have connectivity so that you can, use it outside of like having, being on Wi-Fi. And last time I did that with my phone, when I got the 15, they were not able to switch the eSIM and turn it on. And so I spent 2 hours at the Apple store trying to get my eSIM to work, and it didn't work. And if the eSIM doesn't work, in the watch, it's no big deal, right? You're not making phone calls on this thing, even though you could. But if it doesn't work in the phone, then outside of Wi-Fi, you have no connectivity. And then it becomes a big deal. And then I had to go to the Verizon store. And what ensued then was like 14 hours of just an utter train wreck because there were 3 million people trading in their phones. I couldn't get an appointment for a week. I had a phone that wasn't working. And so that's why I'm terrified of actually swapping out phones because of what happened to me last time.
Well, the cool thing about the watch is if you get one with the eSIM in it.
Yeah, the Ultra always has an eSIM.
I actually kind of like this a lot. I didn't like this at all when I first kind of thought about watches, but it kind of makes sense now. So there's this big trend now against social media having access to it all the time.
Yeah.
So have you heard of these like new phones called like dumb phones?
I have heard of the new dumb phones.
So essentially what it is, it's like returning back to the 90s. So you get a little flip phone and you can call and you can text, and that's all you can do, right? And then there's no way to access Instagram and Facebook and all those kind of toxic social media apps. So people are buying these, but my argument is you're better off just getting an Apple Watch if you're an Apple user.
Yes.
Because then you still have your same phone number, right?
Yes.
You don't have a different phone number. It's connected to your Apple account, but you can leave your phone at home and still have your watch. Like if there's an emergency, if you're driving an old car and it breaks down, which has happened to me, then you can make a call on the watch, but I'm not always plugged in. So I really do like that feature. My problem with my Apple Watch is I have a really old one. I have like an SE, and the battery lasts about 92 seconds. So it's a little tricky for me to kind of keep charging it all the time. It's just a little bit of a pain. However, I do like that feature about the Apple Watch. People don't talk about that.
So there it is. There's my new Ultra.
Well, congratulations.
And
well, how much was it?
So they gave me $255 for the Ultra One. Mm-hmm. This one was $899, so I paid like $560 with tax for it.
The crazy one is the new Pro iPhone 17s are, you can get them up to like $2,000, which is more than our Cadillac Eldorado.
It's true. It is more than our Cadillac.
So you could have a Cadillac Eldorado Tony, or you could have a new phone.
Well, there it is. It's not set up.
Well, it looks nice.
But it is on my wrist, and hopefully I can get it set up. Hopefully I can get the little eSIM. I guess it's an eSIM working on this watch. And other reason I got this is just because of the reason you stated. My battery on my old one didn't even last a day anymore.
Yeah.
So this one hopefully is supposed to have, I think, 48 hours of battery time, which will be nice. And that's really what makes me want to even trade in this phone. It's the fact that by like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, my phone needs to be charged.
Right.
And this is after 2 years of having it. And,
Yeah.
and Apple says that the phone's battery is 85%.
Well,
I would say, based on the fact that this lasted 2 days when I got it, that it's like 25%.
yeah.
I don't understand that, but that's a whole mystery. Somebody out there can let us know. So I'm sorry we're not doing a watch show. We should probably start talking about cars. What are we talking about today, Tommy?
Well, we have a couple of things going on. I want to talk about my Toyota trip. So I just had a chance to drive a bunch of really cool new Toyotas, such as the final edition Mark V Supra. I drove the new GR86 Yuzu. I drove the new GR Corolla, the new Toyota Corolla Cross, and I had a chance to kind of do some track driving, some street driving, a little bit of off-roading in all those vehicles, which is cool. Didn't off-road the Supra.
And then the main topic is hopefully what cars you should buy new and what cars you should buy used.
Well, I have the headline is never buy new and never buy used.
Okay, then what are you supposed to do, lease?
Well, no. So these are cars that depreciate incredibly quickly in a lot of cases. So these are cars that I would never buy new, but you should buy used. And then the flip side of that, I have some cars that you should never buy used. You should buy new because they depreciate so slowly.
Yeah, perfect. Great topic. So let's start with something before we get to any of that, and that is you just drove the brand new Leaf. What do you think of it just now?
It's actually very good.
Yeah?
You know, I think there's about as much interest in the Leaf on this podcast as there is for a Saltine. But
it's the first mass electric car. People may think it's the Tesla, but the Tesla Model S was very expensive when it came out about a year after the Leaf.
Sure.
And the Leaf was not.
No, the Leaf is an excellent little car. I like the first gen, actually. They had the air-cooled battery problem, which meant that I like to say that the Nissan Leaf set back electric cars like 15 years because, yes, it was the first mass-produced affordable EV. But by air-cooling the batteries, you had a very high rate of failure. And then that required people to replace them. And then you got those headlines, it's going to be $29,000 to replace a Leaf battery.
And it set this like train in motion. To this day, people think that the batteries in cars are like the batteries in my watch or in the phone, and then after 2 years, they're basically going to get a quarter of the range. Whereas we have found out that with our Model S or 2014 Model S, the thing that breaks is the car. The battery still is 91%, and we still have 250 miles of range. So speaking of the Leaf, I also got to drive it. That is a really cool color. I think it's called Seafoam Blue.
That's the one that our press car is.
Yep.
And so anyway, the original Leaf was, the latest ones actually are very good. I like them quite a lot, but they're a little bit of an appliance. This new one actually has quite a lot of personality. It's got some really neat features going for it.
A baby Aria.
Yeah, they finally got rid of the CHAdeMO charging, which is great. I think they finally have climate controlled batteries.
They do.
Yeah, it's really funky on the inside. It's very modern. It's got some cool materials. So I really think that they've done a nice job. It kind of feels like the IKEA of electric cars.
Well, they got rid of the Aria, which is crazy because I just went and test drove that for the first time. It seemed like yesterday, and it's already been discontinued.
The Aria, the problem with the Aria, though, is it was never very competitive with the Model Y or with an Ioniq 5. This is the category below where I think there's more freedom for choice, or there's more freedom to have, some... It's not as competitive. Like you have the Kona EV, you've got the Nero EV, but this is much more funky than those. I think it offers some features that those don't offer. So I don't know what ours costs, and I have a feeling the
42, I think.
Wait, it's too expensive.
30. It's about 40,000. So they start. There's a base one. There's one coming. I think it's going to be the S, which isn't out yet, which has a smaller battery pack. This one has, I believe it's, if I remember right, 75 kilowatt hour, which is a pretty good sized battery pack. So it gets around 300 miles of range ish.
Can you get all-wheel drive?
No, only front-wheel drive. But this one that we're looking at, the first edition, which is loaded, is right around 40. So it's got that photochromatic sunroof, right, that changes from opaque to clear. The weird thing about the Leaf is it's got two chargers, one on either side. I'm showing it right there. And one is AC and one is DC, which is very confusing.
Oh, but that's a Tesla port.
That is a Tesla port.
Oh, that's right. So this is crazy. So Nissan has AC charging with They've got AC charging with J1772, and then they do DC charging with the Tesla port, if I remember right.
Yes, exactly.
So now, not only do you still need dongles, but depending on which side of the car you pull up on, you might need a different dongle.
Yes.
That's insane. That's a terrible decision. This is going to be like, we're going to look back at this in 50 years and be like,
ears with both those flaps open.
this is like the horsey head, horseless carriage
Exactly.
thing. This is like the weird transition period from J plugs to NAX ports, but
you potentially could need 2 different dongles if you want to.
that's pretty silly.
And of course, at home you're going to be using one port, and when you go fast charge, you'll be using another port.
But I bet you could charge AC and DC on the Tesla port.
Yeah, probably.
But I bet you can't do DC on the.
No, you can't charge. The Tesla's only. It's very confusing. I forget now, but it's problematic, Tom. I think they wanted to give you choice, and they gave you too much choice, unfortunately. What do you think of the interior?
Yeah, it's
nice.
cool. Yeah, I really like the car. I just think 42 is a lot of money, but everything's a lot of money now, and there's no tax credit anymore. So I think it's kind of a bit of an ask for this car, especially without all-wheel drive. I mean, because you can get a pretty good Model 3 now for.
But much of the country world doesn't need all-wheel drive, right? We're here in Colorado, where if you're going to go live through winter, you probably want all-wheel drive. But like I said, much of the world doesn't need it. I just think that they really improved it. They made it. I mean, the problem with the Leaf was, even though this is the 3rd generation, believe it or not, because most people think that the first one has been only 1 generation, but there's now 3 generations.
Well, sort of.
Well, that's what Nissan says.
Yeah, that's what they're going to say. But the first generation and the second generation are the same car.
They're very similar.
Yeah, they're the same platform.
But finally, it's competitive and it's modern and it's got fast enough charging. I think it's 150. It's still not super fast, but it has climate controlled batteries. It can precondition the batteries, so it can do the stuff that most electric cars have been able to do for the last 10 years. So finally, the Leaf can do it, and it's fun and funky, which is saying a lot. It drives well. It drives like any electric car. There's not a lot of it's got one weird thing which I don't understand. So Nissan pioneered this. Do you remember in the old Leaf you've got this little button that says 1 pedal?
I said E-pedal.
E-pedal. The new one doesn't have that.
It does.
It doesn't really do. It doesn't do like it. So the old one would come to a complete stop, and you would just be able to stop. And then, of course, when you went again, then you could just let it regen all the way to a stop. The new one will always creep. You can't have no creep. And then you have 5 levels of.
I think Mary's creeps. There's no way to turn creep off.
I think the first one. I think Nissan pioneered the 1 pedal.
Well, this is still 1 pedal.
It's not.
So you use the paddles to change the regen.
There's 4 different regens, and then there's a 5th if you hit the E pedal. Yeah. So there's 5 different levels of regen, but there's none that actually take the car to a complete stop, so that you can take your foot off the brake, so that at the stoplight you don't have to keep the brake on. And I think Nissan did pioneer that, and now they got rid of it, which is a head scratcher. I'm pretty sure. I know you got that look on your face like I'm wrong.
I just drove her Leaf.
I know, but I was at the launch and we talked. We had a long discussion about that.
Maybe okay. I don't know. Anyway, I think it's a good car. I think that it's way better than the old one. I think it's all going to come down to what are these actually going to transact for at the dealership, if you can,
or how much they're going to lease for,
or what they're going to lease for. But with the incentives going away in 7 days, I don't think that the lease deals are going to be that crazy
Leaf
anymore.
has not had great timing.
No. Okay, so let's talk about my Toyota trip.
Yeah. So 4 cars you drove?
Yeah, so I drove, and the embargo is up now, so I drove the refreshed Corolla Cross and Corolla Cross Hybrid. Okay. I drove the 26 GR Corolla and actually interviewed the chief engineer of GR Corolla, which is pretty cool.
All those videos are coming to alltfl.com.
They should be there already by the time this goes live. Actually, I can't talk about driving impressions because this is Patreon.
Exactly,
so
right.
I'm stuck, but that's okay. There's not a lot to talk about with driving impressions. Then I've got, what else did I drive? I drove the GR86 Yuzu. Uh-huh. And then the final edition Supras.
What's the Yuzu?
So the Yuzu is a special edition of the GR86. Uh-huh. They're only building 860 of them for North America.
Oh, I like that color.
This is the same color they used in 2015 on the Scion FRS Series 1. So it's really cool. The most interesting thing about the Yuzu is not the color or the body kit, it's the exhaust. It's got a crazy loud exhaust, and it's very loud when you go down the road. There's no driving impression on Yuzu. 6-speed manual transmission, mid $30,000. I actually think it's a really fun car. Drove it on the track a little bit, and it was a blast. This was one of... I actually think that these are going to be pretty collectible one day because they're not building a lot of them. They've got a really distinctive color. The exhaust is really distinctive, so I think there's a lot of potential for collectability.
You know what that color looks like? It looks like a vehicle we used to own.
What's that?
Our first edition Bronco.
Yeah, it's pretty similar.
I'm looking at this picture. So is it, when you get it in the light, so what we're looking at, in case you're listening to this, is a /orange/yellow/orangey yellow GR86. And would you say it's similar to the Bronco in that it's kind of a bright yellow with a little bit of orange thrown in, or is it a bright orange with a little bit of yellow thrown in?
No, when you see it in person, there's no orange.
So it's very
all yellow.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very, very yellow.
Because that has orange in it.
Kind of looks like Big Bird.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's got some yellow stitching on the inside, so it's mostly a trim package, but I liked it a lot. I forgot how much I liked the GR86, and then we drove them back to back with the standard one, and the biggest difference is just that crazy sound out of the exhaust. It
And
really
more
is
horsepower?
loud.
Does it have more airflow?
No, it's still 228. It's got Brembo brakes,
Okay.
which is awesome. It's got sack stampers, so it's got some handling things here and there, but it really is the sound that's the big difference.
When
on
does it
this.
come out?
Now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's out. Maybe it might be next month.
Okay.
The other car I drove, which I think is going to be even more collectible,
Yeah.
is the GR Corolla. The GR Supra Final Edition.
So these are two cars we would put on the list of buy them. Don't buy them new. Remember, we're doing this list after this, but
Yeah.
both of these buy new because you're going to be getting cars that are relatively low volume.
So the Final Edition GR Supra, they're only doing 1,300 for North America.
Okay.
And there's two things going on. There's the standard one, they're doing 900 of those. And then there's this black one with the graphics on the side. And this is called the GT4 style package. And they're only doing 400 of these. And if you can find a GR Super Final Edition with the GT4 style package and a manual transmission, that's one of only a couple of cars I can think of, period, new cars, that I think would be a good investment. Because Toyota has a huge following, Supra has a huge following, similar to Land Cruiser. And you remember the Land Cruiser Heritage Edition at the very end of the 200 series?
Yeah, those never went down.
They actually went up. They were
Yeah.
selling for like $110,000, $120,000, even a year old or a few years old. Now they're still selling for over $100,000. So I think a GR Final Edition Supra with the manual and the GT4 package, which gives you the wing. The Final Edition gets you some suspension tweaks, gets you some additional camber, the carbon fiber wing, some little
much?
spats on the front end. With the GT4 style pack, it's like $72,000. So it's a lot of money.
Well, compared to a 911,
Yeah. Oh, God. It's a lot cheaper than a 911. But I drove that thing on the track. I drove it a little bit on the road, and it is such a blast. That 6-speed manual is so good. It's a BMW transmission.
So, of course, we were on launch of it when it first came out, and the rub was that all the Toyota people were bummed that it had a BMW powertrain, and all the BMW people were bummed that it had a Toyota body. And over time, I think that decision to partner to build this car has actually become more positive than negative, because that six-cylinder, that straight six in the Supra, is being used in a lot of different cars, including, I believe, the Ineos Grenadier. And you could pump, just like the Mark IV, you can pump a lot of power through that engine. And it's very robust. So I think just like the Mark IV, this is going to be a car that you can easily, modify, and it will have a long life beyond, the model year when it's done.
Well, B58 engine, co-developed with Toyota.
Yeah.
But great sound, great power delivery, 382 horsepower. The only big problem I have with
Is
this...
I don't fit.
Well, that's what. So on Patreon, if you want to support the podcast, patreon.com/TFLCar, you can watch it live. And Tad P says, I wish I fit the new Supra. I know I'm one of the few that actually likes it. There's actually, the following on Supras has grown quite a bit in recent years. People are realizing that, yeah, it's got a BMW engine, but it's still got a BMW engine. Like, that's not a bad thing to have.
I love that car on the track. The problem with it was, for me, I can't get my head.
Yeah, Tad is right. They're pretty small.
And then the other problem is the roof kind of comes down on the side. So not only is it tight for me, like one size too small in terms of the fit of the car, when I look sideways, I'm looking into the roof as opposed to looking out. If I'm wearing a helmet, then I got to crank that seat so far back that I'm driving like Andre. And dynamically, it's a really great car. You can modify it. I think it looks really great, but they made it just like the Mazda Miata, one size too small for big American people, which is, I'm 6'2", so I think if you're 6'2" and you've got a long body like I do, the car's just not going to work for you. And that's a shame, because I would love to own one. I would love to own a Miata, same problem.
Yeah,
Did you fit?
I mean, I fit okay without a helmet on. With the helmet on, it's kind of game over. But yeah, I genuinely liked that car a tremendous amount. It was really, really good.
Yeah, and it's quick and it's manual. Which what other car can you buy that's manual nowadays besides the 911?
Well,
You can get the Nismo Z.
that's coming as a manual now.
Yeah, that's coming as a manual, but those are also in the 70s. And I think that is much less of an athletic car, more of a GT than a track car, whereas to me the Supra is, very much at home on the track.
Yeah, they did a really good job with it. So as a whole, the car is excellent. It's fantastic. Definitely get the final edition. My only complaint is if you look up Cole, in Europe and Japan, they've got a version of this car called the A90 final edition. And this is kind of what I wish that we got in the States. So this is even harder core. So it's got a huge wing in the back. It's got 429 horsepower. It's got much more aggressive seats.
So they breathed some performance into the engine?
Yeah, but I don't know why they didn't just give us this one in the U.S. I mean, look how much more aggressive the suspension's lower, right? It's like a totally different car. Look at the bracing in the back. So I kind of feel like the Americans are getting like we're getting the...
Oh, I hate those seats already.
Yeah, but they're
not
cool.
I'm not going to fit in those
No, you
seats.
probably won't, but they're badass. Like this is such a cool car, right?
They're like those BMW and Porsche competition seats,
Right.
where they're basically torture devices
But
for
basically-
anybody who's like fat.
They get more power. They get more power, different interior, and a huge wing. We get a little bit of carbon fiber and some final edition graphics, right?
So can I be grumpy old man for a sec?
Yeah, I know. I'm not going to stop you.
Oh, you could try stopping me, but it's not going to work. Look, the people who can afford these cars are older guys, for the most part.
Uh-huh.
So sure, build them for 20-year-olds. That's another problem. Civic Type R, same problem in that competition seat. And if you want to sell them to people who actually have the money to buy them, you may want to consider making that seat a little bit more comfortable. I'm not saying a lot more comfortable, but the people who are buying these in America, maybe this is the reason that the European one is so much more aggressive, is most of us won't be tracking it because tracking is a very specific thing that a very small portion of sports car buyers do. Most people in America, I think, buy them to take the cars and coffee, to take on a weekend drive, to maybe have fun with every so often in the mountains if you live near, but they're not putting them on the track. And unless you're on a track, those hardcore competition sports seats are just torture devices, right? They're hard to get in and out of. They're painful to sit in. And I don't understand why we can't devise a seat that does kind of the same thing that competition seat does, but at the same time is comfortable to sit in. And I think I know the reason, Tommy.
Why?
Because the competition seats say more about what the character of the car is than about the character of the person who's buying it, right? So it's like a giant wing. You don't need a giant wing driving to Starbucks because it's all about downforce. But you still want it because it looks cool and it says that the car is ultimately the most capable track-worthy vehicle possible. And that's the same thing with the seat. The seat says, look at this. I bought the sportiest, the most hardcore car, and now to get in it, I have to torture myself. I think they're kind of like, they're kind of like heels in that they're, beautiful, but they're impossible.
Right. I mean, I do, for the most part, I do agree with you that I don't think... But when you're selling this few units and it's supposed to be this hardcore, like I do understand the reasoning for putting... It's kind of like buying a Bronco Raptor on 37s, right? You don't need 37s, right? You're compromising your on-road fuel economy. You're compromising your handling.
But you're making it more comfortable in some ways. You could say 37 is a little bit more, you got a lot more sidewall.
Well, I'm not sure it's more comfortable than 35 though. But that's kind of like an example of like, unless you're on a rock crawling course, you don't need the tire, but it's cool to have.
I mean, I would say a better example of that would be in the off-road world is, what would be a better example? Something that makes the car perform better, but makes it much harder to drive and use.
Well, that's tires. Like a 37-inch tire kills your fuel economy. It kills your handling a little bit.
Yeah. I'm not sure about that. 37. I like 37s because there's no downside in my mind for 37s.
Well, you kill your fuel economy.
Yeah.
And
if you can buy a Raptor R, you can afford a 37.
Yeah, but it's harder to it's harder to get in and out of. I mean, it doesn't handle as well. You got more unsprung weight.
Well, I'm tall, so it's actually easier. I like tall vehicles.
But as a whole, I do agree with you that sports seats aren't usually my jam, but I would appreciate them doing something more than just colors and stitching. And
well, let me ask you this. All right, fair enough. You've been in that BMW competition seat, the one with the little hockey puck insert by your private parts there. Mm-hmm. What do you think of that seat? Do you like that? Would you want a car with that seat?
No. But I'm not taking it on the canyons. You know, people that are buying these are usually driving them pretty hard.
We just did it with the ZR1, the C4 ZR1, right? We got those sports seats, and I had just probably the worst 1,000 miles of my life.
That's because it's a 35-year-old car. I wouldn't have bought those seats if I had the choice.
The seat made it miserable.
I know. I wouldn't have bought those seats if I had the choice.
That's a competition seat. The bolsters are so high
that disagreeing
my hips
with
don't
you.
fit.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I wouldn't have bought those seats. But then you're buying an old car, right? You only have so many options. If it was up to me, I would have bought the comfort seats in that car, right?
I think they all came with that.
No, you could get them 3 seats, ZR1s.
Really?
Yeah, 3 seats.
So whoever bought it got the wrong seats.
They got the most aggressive seats. Yeah, apparently. Anyway, so I really like the GR Supras. They're going to go down in history as being very, very desirable. It's going to be a moment I probably regret not buying one, but they're really hard to find, and I just don't want to go through the hassle of.
So let's switch quickly to the Corolla Cross, which has been refreshed. So we're going from sports cars to more mundane. I don't know if I would say mundane, but more everyday cars. What about the new Corolla Cross?
Yeah.
Basically, it's a Corolla that's been kind of sort of lifted. That's a little bit more SUV versus car.
I mean, it's been out for a couple of years now. For 26, the biggest thing, go to the left, Cole. So they put a new nose on the hybrid one. So the hybrid's got kind of a flat nose. Then if you go to the right, you can see the non-hybrid. It's got kind of more of a beak to it.
I like it better. I like the styling better. It looks a little bit more purposeful.
Yeah, and Corolla Cross, it's not a particularly exciting car, but they sell hundreds of thousands of them. And it makes sense why. They just have the right amount of space, the right amount of utility. They're the right price point.
So it competes with the CRH, right? The smaller Honda.
No, HRV.
HRV, sorry.
Yeah, HRV. It competes with the Kona, right? It competes with the Sportage, or not the Sportage. The little one, the little Kia, the Seltos. There it is. So I liked it a lot. I think that the 26 update is not.
Boy, the nose is so different on the hybrid. It's almost like a different car.
Yeah, I think it looks better than the standard one. So
I agree.
It's just a great car, right? They've got 2 different powertrains. You get 169 horsepower gas one. You get 196 horsepower hybrid one. Definitely get the hybrid because you can get up to 40 mpg combined.
What's the pricing on them?
I think the ones we drove were fully loaded and they were like 36,
okay,
34, 35, 36, somewhere in that territory. So really liked it a lot. I think that that's going to be a great car for somebody.
Would you say that it's become a little bit more, and we don't want to talk about driving impressions, I was going to say fun to drive, but a little bit more fun in general, because the problem with this car, at least for me, was it was kind of joyless. It was more of just a utility commuter that you would buy because you needed something to get you to work, and you needed something that had a little bit more room and maybe had a little bit more usability. So instead of getting a Corolla, you would get this. But in terms of kind of joy, there was not a lot of joy in the thing.
Yeah, there's no more joy in this one. So right. You can get in Cavalry Blue, which is a cool color.
All right, so there's a little bit of fizz.
And then you get Soul Crystal Red Metallic if you want the
Mazda color.
The Mazda color, but there's no there's.
You wouldn't turn around after you get out of it.
No, but this is not a car for that, right? It's designed to last a long time and just be a very comfortable place. You get a new Portobello mushroom interior, which is kind of fun, but there's not a lot of fizz in this car. But it is not supposed to have a lot of fizz. Right, it's not a GR product.
Cole, could you go down? I'm curious. The fuel economy is always, and there's pricing. So it starts at 24 for the base L, and then you get up to the hybrid at 28. It's up. No, actually, the XLE is 29. Oh, hybrid SE is 30. So
like they said, they go to mid-30s.
33.
Yeah,
wow.
But you can get, like I said, 40 mpg combined.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's a great car. So I strongly recommend that to anybody who's looking into getting just a small runaround. I think it's the best in the class.
So if you don't need the size and the expense of a RAV4,
exactly,
this is the car you would buy.
Yeah. I think it's better than the Honda. It's better than the Hyundai and the Kia. Potentially you could crash up this like a Bronco Sport that's a little bigger, but
a little bit more off-road worthy.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is not very off-road worthy, but loved the car.
You took it off-road, didn't you?
Barely. It was like a dirt road.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's not much off-roading.
Yep. So I really like this thing a lot. And then the last one I drove is the GR Corolla. Has had some very small tweaks for 2026. It's got 46 more feet worth of bonding material in the body.
So a lot more glue.
Yeah, it's got some suspension tweaks. They changed around some bolts. It's got another intake to keep it cool for the Nürburgring. This thing was really designed for the Nürburgring. But it's cool talking to the engineer. What Toyota does that I think not every company does is they build a product and then they have the same product for multiple years, but every year they're constantly revising it and they're making it just a little better. So they're changing the geometry.
It's very Japanese.
Yeah, exactly. This pursuit of perfection. They're changing like the design of the bolts that hold the subframe on, and you think, who cares? But it has a huge impact on torsional rigidity. And then I look at GM, and they use the same torque to yield bolts and North Stars for 20 years that were failing left and right, and they didn't change them until 2006 or 7. I'm like, what? Why? So that's the difference. That's what makes Toyota special, is that they have a product. If it's wrong, they fix it, and if it's right, they make it better.
The one thing I would say, Tommy, is there does seem to be a sense of Toyota doing a little bit more cost cutting recently, and I would point to the new Tundra, where they had to replace 100,000 engines.
Sure.
I would point to our Tacoma, where the front diff failed on us pretty quickly. There's some other issues that are coming to light. The Tacoma has had some transmission issues, and I'm just wondering if to be competitive, they are doing because obviously one of Toyota's biggest selling points is reliability, and I wonder if that is just not quite where it used to be, or is it just me kind of looking back fondly at cars like the old 4Runner, the old Tacoma, the Hilux, that just had these bulletproof reputations. Do you think that they're doing a little bit of cost cutting, or you think it's just me?
No, I think that we look back with rose-colored glasses.
That's what I'm wondering.
But we forget all the problems they had.
Yeah, they had to replace the frames on
every frame on every second-gen Tacoma,
right,
was recalled, right?
But that third-gen 4Runner was pretty bulletproof. No, fifth-gen 4Runner was pretty bulletproof. The new sixth-gen, I kind of felt like it was expensive and that there was a little bit less.
I think
a little bit more plastic in the thing.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true, because you get into a fifth-gen interior and you're like, oh. So
I'm not sure about that.
And you look at the Tundra engine, right? Yeah, that's a big F up, right?
Yeah.
Certainly, but they're replacing every single one. Did GM recall every North Star and say, we're going to fix this and give you a new engine? No, they just kind of muddled through fixing it at dealerships, only for it to fail 2 years later.
Or could it be also that cars are becoming much more complicated? They're
I think that's more like it. It's just harder it's harder to develop a car that's going to last as reliably as a vehicle with less electronics and still meet the needs and the demands of consumers to have the technology that they expect.
Having said that, I think most cars, when I was growing up, if you can get an LTD Ford to last 100,000 miles, it was incredible, right? You were like, oh my God, this car has 100,000 miles. And now I don't think twice about buying a car with 100,000 miles on the odometer, just because in general, cars and trucks, now live well into the 200,000 mile range, depending on, of course, how they were taken care of. The biggest issue, I think we've talked about this in the past, is deferred maintenance. That's what kills them.
Well,
it's not the engineering; it's the people who basically just don't do the maintenance that's required.
Or if you could get an old Honda or Nissan to last more than 50,000 miles before they rusted.
Yeah,
right? That was a big problem in the 70s and the 80s and even in the 90s. So
and before galvanized steel and before.
Right. So I think that even though it's easy to say these cars are getting less reliable, if you look at the data, and yes, there are issues, and yes, it's also a brand new generation of everything, I'm not sure that they are actually that worse.
Did you drive anything else? Is that it? Was there a GR Corolla?
Yeah, that's what we just talked about.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the cars I drove on the trip.
I drove something. I got to go to Aspen, which I hadn't been to for a while. And keep in mind, guys, Aspen is probably one of the most expensive cities in Colorado, if not the entire country. So it was kind of nice. Porsche invited me to go drive the Macan EV, and really enjoyed that car. First of all, I took the i8 and drove it over Independence Pass, and oh my God, was that so much fun. I had to get back early from the program, so I left at 5 in the morning, and there was no traffic. And I have to say, I may have exceeded the speed limit a few times, Tommy, but it reinforced the fact that the i8 is just one hell of a great touring car. Unbelievable fuel economy. I think I was getting 47 mpg combined for the way out and back to Aspen, which is, probably a 7-hour drive there and back over mountain passes, and, driving it very hard. When you start to push it a little bit, it starts to understeer. So it's neutral until you start to push it, and then it does start to plow a little bit. But in general, it is such a comfortable car. It's still good looks. I brought it to the hotel. I validated it. They were like, wow, great car. They thought it was brand new. And of course, it's 2014. I think it was BMW's moonshot. And finally, now people are starting to understand all the technology that's in that car. So like the supercars, hypercars of old, I'm talking about McLaren, the Porsche, the Holy Trinity. This car had that same powertrain. It had, I believe, two electric motors, one for the front. And
Three. It has three.
Is it three?
Yeah.
3 electric motors. It had 2 transmissions. It had about 20 miles of all electric power range. You can switch from all battery to internal combustion.
It is missing the V8 that the Holy Trinity had.
Yeah, of course. It's got the BMW 3-cylinder turbo, but I was very happy with the turbo at Leadville because I went through Leadville at America's highest city at whatever that is, 11,000 feet above sea level. That turbo was just loving the fact that there was not a lot of air. I was passing cars left and right on some of these, Colorado roads in the morning. Just a really wonderful car, super comfortable. The technology both has held up with everything that's going on. 2 transmissions, for God's sakes. That is not an easy thing to make work seamlessly, and yet for the most part it works seamlessly. I love the gull-wing doors. If you don't have to get them in and out of them all the time, they make a statement when you arrive, they make a statement when you leave. It's got enough of a little boot in the back where you can put your case in there, and even though the seat doesn't have lumbar support, it's ultimately comfortable. So one hell of a car. Now the Porsche Macan EV, great car, tons of power, all kinds of different specs on it. But the one thing I would say is it's very expensive. The one I drove was $102,000 MSRP. That's just a big pill to swallow, especially considering that you can get a Macan gasoline for less, which I would say is probably a little bit more fun to drive. What do you think of the styling? Do you like it? We're looking at it right now.
Yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. So this is the second full electric Porsche in the lineup, right? Follows the Taycan.
Yep.
Very advanced 800-volt architecture, right? Very impressive performance.
Charges super quick.
But this is definitely one of the cars, transitioning a little bit to our list, I would never buy this car new.
Yeah, so I think it's got up to 375 kilowatts of charging. I mean, it's lightning fast.
Right.
But you're right, because this is going to let's face it, any electric car is probably not a car you'd want to buy, but you'd want to lease, because otherwise you're going to take a huge hit on depreciation.
Yeah, I mean, I think any new electric car, and I think part of that reason is kind of what we touched on earlier, is people do kind of associate EVs with cell phones. It seems like a piece of tech that you buy and then might quickly become outdated, right? There's a reason that like old iPhones don't have as much value as the typical car over a couple of years if you look at the percentages. So I think that people are very hesitant to buy EVs used, and therefore they depreciate incredibly quickly. We saw this with Taycans. Now, Macan EV is still pretty new, but Taycans came out, 4 years ago? And they were 120, realistically, 130. And now they're in the 50s and 60s for a lot of them. So
there's a new one up in Alaska. I was listening to Doug's podcast, and he found it, so I have to give him credit. But I went there. In Anchorage, they had a new 2023 this is a Taycan, that was $146,000, which is $104,000 now. So down $40,000 in 2 years, brand new.
Well, it was never. I mean, at this point, that's a used car.
Well, it's still new.
I know it's never been sold, but it's 3 years old.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, true
that car probably hit the lot in 22 if it's the model year 23.
And I don't think they're going to sell. It's a 4-wheel drive. I don't think they're going to sell it for 104. I think that's probably more like a $70,000 or $80,000 car.
Yeah, it's in Alaska, so that does hurt its sales potential being an all-electric car.
Hey, Cole, maybe you can fast forward to the interior on the Macan. So the other thing I would say about Porsche is that they do feel very well screwed together, and they feel very expensive. This color combination, Gavin, he I think he sourced this. So I love that forest.
Calvin.
Calvin. Sorry, Calvin. Just mixed you up with our intern. He sourced this. I think it was his spec. So he did this incredible forest green with this wonderful brown interior. Really great color combination.
Almost looks maroon. Is it maroon or is it brown?
Brown. It's brown.
Okay.
Yeah. So forest green with brown, classic color combo. But you can just see how nicely everything is put together, how everything just fits well. There's just a lot of quality.
The one thing I don't like about these interiors is how everything is so in the screen. I mean, look, you got 4 toggles there for climate control, but everything else is pretty much in the screen.
But look at the steering wheel. You got real buttons.
Porsche's a great steering wheel.
Unlike the Audi, which is basically based on this. I'm talking about the
Q5 e-tron.
Q6
e-tron.
yeah. that has haptic controls everywhere, and at least the third screen in this car does have real controls. I agree, they went too far.
What was the sticker on this?
102,000.
The Audi we had, which is largely the same car, was like 77 grand.
Yeah. So this was the S. This was the Macan S.
Okay.
So it's all-wheel drive. I think it's got like 550 horsepower. I just had it on my phone, and I deleted it. So it's got tons of power. It's got, of course, all-wheel drive. This one came spec'd with summer tires, and Calvin was gracious enough to let us actually take it on a dirt road.
Nice.
And it was so much fun driving it on a dirt road. You could actually let it loose a little bit if you turned off the traction control. And I think Porsche initially announced that they were going to use Apple Ultra as their OS.
Yep.
But they've kind of walked away from it. So they're now this car is using a Google-based Android-based infotainment system, kind of like Chevy does, with its own skin on top of it, with the Porsche skin, and it actually works really well. The other thing I love about Porsches is you can turn off all the nannies just by clicking on that little switch below. So you can you can turn off the steering wheel shake or whatever it is, the haptic controls when you're crossing the line, and so you can kind of get it back to neutral. But 102,000, you're exactly right. 3 years from now, this is going to be, I kind of fear, a $50,000 car.
Yeah, and I think that, so the thing with Porsches is they all depreciate if they don't have a 911 badge on the back of them. So,
which is one you want to buy and hold on to. We bought a 911 Targa S a few years ago. I was lucky to get an allocation. Because I know a friend of mine who was managing a Land Rover store, but they also had a Porsche store, so he helped me get an allocation. We bought that for $158,000, and we sold it for $158,000.
Yeah,
which is pretty amazing. So that's a car that you want to buy, and I bet you that car was probably worth more than $158 because the dealer we sold it to didn't sell it for $158. He sold it over the sticker even after a year and 3,000 miles.
Yeah, so they keep getting more expensive because I think Porsche realizes that if the market is saying that these cars are going over sticker, then they should just be taking those profits for themselves and not giving it to the dealer. So they are getting more expensive, but yeah, 911s really don't depreciate over the first couple of years. Of course, like when you talk about 20-year-old ones, like they get pretty cheap, but for the first few years,
they don't get pretty cheap. 911s don't get pretty cheap unless you're a 996. That's about the only one.
30 grand. 25. That's cheaper than 158.
Right, but let's say a 991, that's not cheap. Any of the ones after the first air-cooled 996s, they also really hold their value.
Water-cooled.
I'm sorry, water-cooled. Yeah.
So other cars that I think you should probably never buy new.
I like your list. Let's start with the first one.
Well, this was one that just got...
I think you should never buy, period. But go ahead.
This is a car that's great used, but new, they depreciate like rocks. The BMW XM. So these are like $180-some thousand. And if you go to Auto Trader, Cole, and then type in BMW, and then filter for XM.
I think BMW, I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it. I think BMW asked a question and answered a question with that car that nobody was asking, and that is, what would you do if you built a car, or in this case, a crossover specifically for a Romanian gangster? And this is the car that you come up with.
Yeah, so this was a really weird thing, right? So it does not follow within like the X5, X6 family.
What's a hybrid?
So Cole, on the left there, go scroll up. Let's do any distance. Yep, nationwide. And then on the right, go sort by price lowest. Let's see what the cheaper XMs are doing in the US. So used 96,000 miles. It has $96,000. It has 7,000 miles. Keep scrolling down, Cole. Keep going. $79,000. $79,000. These are cars with 38,000, 42,000 miles. So they're essentially half priced in 2-3 years. Yeah. So this is a bad combination of it doesn't fall within the hierarchy of BMW. Plus it's electrified. It's got a hybrid system. Plus it was $180,000 new. So this is an example of like these ultra premium SUVs. I don't think hold their value very well.
Yeah, it might be. This might be a kind of a one-off, though. It might be an outlier. It's such a unique and weird car. I don't understand it. Like I said, I don't understand why BMW built it. When I drove it, I thought to myself, this is very gaudy. It screams, over the top everything. And so it might be an outlier in that regard, but you're right. That is a car that you're better off. If you really want an XM, go get yourself a used one and you can save half the money off a new one.
Yeah. I mean, and I think we see this not only with BMW, but pretty much especially now, any luxury sedan specifically ever. So we're talking BMW A8 or Audi A8, BMW 7 Series, Mercedes S-Class.
I think traditionally any of the big sedans, S-Class, 7 Series, A8, S8, they just depreciate like rocks. And I think those vehicles really only sell I think in Europe what happens is if you work up high enough in a company, you get a company car, and those sedans are given to you as a kind of a reward for being an executive at whatever company, and then you get them from the company for 3 years, and afterwards they just fall off a cliff. I just don't think any sedans right now are selling, and they obviously don't depreciate as much as those three. But even, an Lexus LS, right, is not going to hold its value.
Tad P brings up a good point. The BMW XM was supposed to be BMW's answer to the G-Wagon, although we have heard rumblings that BMW is doing an actual off-road SUV to compete with the
how is it
G-Wagon.
supposed to be an answer to the G-Wagon when it doesn't go off-road? I mean, this had 22s with big, sticky summer tires that had, 750 horsepower or something? Just some huge amount of horsepower it has.
But I think what the G-Wagon is it's not viewed as an ultimate off-roader.
Still has 3 lockers.
Yeah, but people view that as a status symbol.
Yeah.
And BMW is trying to build a bold status symbol like the G-Wagon.
But the G-Wagon status is built on its off-road capability. It's not built on its on-road capability because on-road they're not great.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think they were going after G-Wagon, maybe Bentayga, right?
Yeah, I'll give it.
So there is an argument to be made that it could be G-Wagon-ish. But... yeah, I see what you're saying.
All right, go next one.
I don't think I would buy a new Corvette.
Which is funny because we just bought one.
Well, we bought a used Corvette.
And now we bought a new one.
Yeah.
We traded our used Corvette for a Z06.
Not yet, though, because you can't buy them because they're under recall.
Stop sale, yeah.
Yeah, Corvette, yeah, we did. So Corvettes do a better job of holding their values than some sports cars, compared to a Z4.
Having said that, we did get quite a bit off on the Z06.
That's good.
Yeah, we got 10% off basically.
That's good.
Yeah, so it was $130,000 and we got 10% off on it.
But look, if you look at the price of I think our C8 standard car, and I think the Z06s and the Z01s are kind of a different story, but the standard Corvettes, we are stickered at 92, I want to say.
Yeah, well,
and we bought it for 70 with 4,000 miles.
Well, the reason part of that problem is that the Corvette had this wacky rollout of the 4 different Corvettes. So when the first Corvette came out, the Stingray, people wanted it.
Scroll up, look at that one, Cole. $58,000 for a 2024 Corvette with 28,000 miles.
Yeah, and look at that, the 2025 Corvette there, 115. Is that a Z06?
Yeah,
Z06.
It's down 7.
Yeah.
That 24 Stingray, 67 with 8,000 miles.
But I was saying the problem is that when the Stingray came out, people wanted it, so they paid over sticker. And then the Z06 came out, and they were like, oh, God, I got to trade my Stingray for a Z06. And so, of course, the Z06s were selling over sticker. And now that the Z01 is here, people are like, well, I want 1,000 horsepower. 700 isn't enough. Yeah. And then, of course, right away, they came out with the ZR1X, which is 1,200 horsepower. And because of that, anything that's not a ZR1 or a ZR1X all of a sudden becomes less desirable because everybody wants the ultimate Corvette.
Now that's brilliant from Chevrolet's part, though.
Well, it was brilliant until they brought out the ZR1 and the ZR1X basically on top of each other.
Yeah, that was weird. They should have separated those two.
At least by a year or two.
Yeah, but I mean, what it means is that it would be tough for me to justify buying the base car new when I see what they do in the used market.
I agree.
Right. So,
but then is the only criteria for buying a car that you don't lose money on it?
No, definitely not. 100% not.
And the reason we bought the Z06 is because it's one, I think out of all 4, that is a sweet spot in the Corvette lineup and will be the sweet spot. We haven't driven a ZR1, but I can't imagine, Tommy, driving a car on the road that puts out 1,000 horsepower to the rear wheels. I know there's no such thing as too much displacement, but that might be too much.
Yeah, but there's no reason to have a Z06. The standard car is too much car.
No, I don't think so. The standard car, especially here at altitude, it's not. It's not that over the top. It's quick, but it's not scary quick. I haven't driven a Z06, so it'll be funny to see what it's like when you go up another 200 horsepower. But up here at altitude, 485 or whatever that thing is, I think, does start to feel a little on the sluggish side for the ultimate sports car. For the ultimate sports car. Yeah,
but
and especially when you've reset the bar with like Tesla Model S Plaid.
I mean, we're still talking about a car that at altitude does a quarter mile in 12, 5.
Yeah, but 10 is a new 12 and
I know,
8
but
is a new 10.
Then you're just feeding into that narrative that every car has to be faster than the old one.
I'm just telling you what I feel because electric cars have reset the bar so much. Anyway, we'll find out. We're going to buy it, and hopefully, we didn't lose a lot. We basically lost like $5,000 on the one we traded.
Yeah,
which isn't bad.
6 months. It's $1,000 a month.
Well, how much did those XM people lost?
A lot.
They lost
a lot
like
more
$5,000 a month. So
Yeah.
I guess it's a matter of and keep this in mind. When I say we lost, we also created a lot of content.
Sure.
So we also generated
offset
revenue.
that, yeah.
Most people aren't in our enviable position where we make money buying cars. Because we make videos around them. Most people just take the depreciation hit. All right, keep going. We're going to run out of time. Oh my gosh.
I mean, I think the last one that specifically, obviously, luxury cars depreciate fast, but any luxury sedan that's electric, God, never buy that new.
Yep.
I mean, I was just shopping around Mercedes, the sedans.
Just never buy an electric car. Just lease them.
Well, but no, I'm good with buying them used.
Yeah.
So, like, look at a Mercedes EQS. This is crazy. If you look at used, especially scroll down.
Oh my God,
Cole.
48,000.
Oh no, they're a lot cheaper than that. Keep going, Cole. 25 for one with 75,000 miles. 27 for one. This is a 2022 car with 86,000 miles. Keep going, Cole. And this isn't a one-off. 29, 31.
They do look like a bar of soap.
Yeah, they're hideous. But they were also $120,000 new, and now they're mid-30s with 37,000 miles. That's a 4-year-old car, 3-year-old car. It's a 22 model year. So 33.9.
Top TFL tip: if you're buying a used EQS, avoid the hyperscreen because it makes the car almost unenjoyable.
Yeah. So if you click on one of those white ones, they're called. Those are all the 450s. None of those should have the hyperscreen. I think most of those came with the standard screen. Yeah, that one's got the normal screen. But these are excellent cars, very well engineered, very nice to drive.
So the hyperscreen, you see where the wood is? We're looking at on the passenger
most of the
side.
580s I think came standard.
Yeah,
with it.
that would be a screen.
But it's fine. It's not unusable. It's just a little annoying. But the problem with these cars is they're rear-wheel drive, the 450s. But I love these cars, and for $27,000 to $35,000, that is the most car. You would be amazed how much luxury you have. It's one of the quietest cars I've ever driven. It's one of the softest, most comfortable cars I've ever driven.
Rear-wheel steering, I think.
Yeah, love them. They are ugly. Jonathan's right in the comments. They are hideous, but you don't get to look at it when you're driving it. And when you're driving it, they're so good.
You do have to look at it when you're parking it.
Well, when you get out of it, you just make sure you walk away from it. But yeah, I really do like those cars. They're really, really great.
Look, there's part of me that loves a bargain, that would love one of those cars. And I think if you daily drove it, you would love it. But the problem with any of these cars is you're also getting to this position, and it's not so much with electric cars because electric cars don't have as many parts to break. But you get into a position where the cost of repairing the car is more than the value of the car. And with that hyperscreen, you could be getting into that position with some of these cars.
I think those cars are really well made. I haven't heard of any issues with them.
And
those cars
I think
are 4
you're right.
years
And
old
they're
now.
electric, so they're not going to have that much
Yeah,
to replace.
I mean, Mercedes put countless billions of dollars into that car to make it perfect because it was their first real Halo car that was electric, I would argue. In mass production, at least. So the next thing I want to talk about...
Can I give you a couple of cars I think you should buy used?
Never buy used?
No, buy used. Can I give you a couple of cars?
So...
Before we get to the never buy used? The ones you should buy used.
So these are
back
cars,
to your previous list.
Never buy new.
Right, never buy new.
Okay.
Or buy... Do we have a list called buy used?
I have a list called never buy used. So these are cars that I think... I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Tacomas, right? If you're looking at a 90s Tacoma, great, buy that used. If you're looking at 2007, great, buy that's used. But if you're looking for a car that's a couple years old or a truck, think you're going to get a value, used Tacomas are terrible values.
Same thing with Wranglers.
Same thing with Wranglers, exactly right.
I listen to the show, the Car Pro Show, and people call in and they think, this is like old thinking. They think that, they can buy a car where somebody has taken the depreciation and they can get a deal on it, and they're looking for cars that are super popular. So any car that is very popular, you think, you know what? I'll give you another one. Lexus GX.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's another one where you think, you know what? I'll let the first buyer take the depreciation, and I'll just swoop in and buy it used and get an $85,000 car for $50,000.
So
That's never going to happen with a GX or a Tacoma or a Wrangler.
So this is exactly what I'm talking about. So this is Auto Trader. Stay there, Cole. Now, obviously, if you're buying a 90s one, it's going to be $4,000. But if you look at that 2021 Tacoma listed there,
Yeah.
it's a $38,000 truck with 72,000 miles.
Yes.
Let that sink in. This dealer is asking $38,000 for 72,000 miles. The base model next to it is got 60,000 miles. It's got no options. It's a total stripper, $32,000. At that point, you're better off spending a few $1,000s more and just getting a new one. And then you can keep it for a few years and then be one of these idiots that think they can get $35,000 to sell it with 50,000 miles. I don't mean to call them idiots, but that's the market. That's the reality of the market is they really hold their value well.
Yeah, basically any cars that don't depreciate, you're just better off to bite the bullet and get them new.
But there's very few of them. Like Mavericks are one of them. Tacomas, 4Runners,
I don't know
Wranglers.
Mavericks used to be one of them. Another one that's like that. So Wranglers, I think Broncos are that way too. I've been looking at used Bronco
Broncos
prices.
are really expensive.
Used Broncos still hold their value. And we could talk about like
RAV4
obviously,
Primes, that's another one.
like Porsche 911s. You're not going to get that cheaper.
Yeah,
we had that
that's
conversation.
another one. Yep. So there's a few of them out there. They're not as maybe prominent as the cars that fall off the cliff like rocks. Another one, this is a really weird one. I don't know I think they finally killed them, but Volvo V60 T8s.
Really?
The plug-in hybrid Volvo V60s. If you can get a T8 specifically, those are still like $72,000.
Any McLaren.
Unless you buy that one, which is for 48. What am I talking about here, Cole? Let's see. Oh, they're coming down a little bit. They were really holding their value like crazy. The facelift ones are really holding their value. So they had a older battery and a newer battery. So this is a good example. The 21s are at 50, but a 24 is still a $70,000 car. So that's crazy.
Yeah. So I think the message here is if you're going to get a Tacoma, a Wrangler, a Bronco, a 911, a Maverick, anything that's super popular, just bite the bullet, get the new one, and then you can take the benefit of the lack of depreciation when you go to sell it. You'll also have a new car warranty. You'll get that new car smell, and you're not going to get, you're not going to get a bargain on any of those cars.
That's right. Right.
All right. What else? You got more cars on your list there?
That's it.
Oh,
that's just some examples. Yeah, and if you guys can think of more, I'd love to hear them in the comment section below.
All right. Can I kind of go over a couple other cars you don't want to buy new?
Sure.
Any Range Rover?
Yeah, that's good.
That's another one that's going to depreciate you could buy a Range Rover that's 5 years old that used to be $150,000 for like $30K. 30 to 35K. Those 2017, 2018s Range Rovers now, those are $25,000 to $35,000 cars all day long.
Yep.
So if you do want to get a Land Rover, Range Rover product, definitely I wouldn't buy it new because you're just gonna bleed money.
Yep, that's true.
If you have to have that new car smell, then think about getting like a G-Wagon in that category because a G-Wagon will hold its value, unlike the Range Rover. And I don't know any other car where people lust after it so much and then for some reason it falls off a cliff in terms of resale value. Why is that with the Range Rover?
Well, it's the perceived reliability.
Yeah, tell me.
People just think they're not going to last.
And they don't last.
Well, there you go.
Now, my personal list of cars that I would right now buy used, I think a good one that's come down in value. Can you take a look at this, Cole? Can you see if you can find one? I drove this car on ice, and then I drove it from Crested Butte to Colorado, and I really fell in love with it, and that is the Stinger GT.
Those are still expensive.
Are they still expensive? Because they used to be. That was like a $55,000 car.
And
how much are they now? Well, they're holding their value.
Yeah, for a 5-year-old Kia, you're still going to be mid-20s. Yeah, so those are expensive, and that's with 80,000 miles.
I would assume because it's a Kia.
Yeah.
So basically, what you're getting is an Audi with a Kia badge because that was Peter Schreier, who was the designer for Audi, who went over to Kia and did this car. So that's a car that I would definitely buy used. Another one that I think is a hell of a value, and we bought it, and Andre won't get rid of it, is the BMW i3.
Yeah, those are really good.
If you want one of the...
But you can't buy those new, though.
No, but if you want... I'm saying used. If you want one of the OG range extenders, which I think is still the only range extender you can get until the Scout or the Ram come out, then these are cars to get. And actually, they're very reliable. They're very well built. They get incredible fuel economy. If anything, the problem with them is that is a little gas motor and not the electric. The electric ones are almost bulletproof. We had ours with, I think, 14,000 miles. It was a 2014. We bought it 5 years ago, and I had to spend $2,500 getting the charcoal filter emission system fixed because that failed on it because the engine was never ever used.
Yep, no, for sure. I have to go.
Is that why you checked out already?
I do. I'm sorry. I have to get to Utah. It's been an hour, but I have to get to Utah.
Tell them why you're going to Utah, and then we'll call it a day.
I'm driving to the Land Rover Rally. So someone commented about this earlier. Casey and I are going to be there through tomorrow, and
we got to thank Nathan for inviting us.
Yep, that's right, Nathan and Tom Cryer from the Land Rover Rally. So we're going to be out there. We're going to do some trails, and I'm supposed to be there for dinner, which I'm realizing we're not going to make now. But
you can make dinner. It's only 12:30. You'll be there by 6:30.
We'll be there by 8.
No, because it's a 6-hour drive.
Did you see the weather in the mountains?
Is there snow?
Yeah.
Well, luckily, you got a 4-wheel drive.
So we'll probably be there late. So do apologize to Ram or to the Land Rover folks. But we'll be there through tomorrow doing some videos. And it will be an interesting drive.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us. As always, Tommy, where should they go to see all of our videos?
All TFL. Huge thank you to everybody on Patreon who's watching live. Very, very cool of you.
Thank you for your comments. Really appreciate them.
Exactly right.
And we'll see you next time. Ciao.
We'll see you next. Bye.